Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you 10 books that I have read lately. Did I like them? Did I love them, hate them, enjoy them? Well, we'll find out now. So I really like to read. I love reading non-fiction. I also enjoy fiction, but primarily I read non-fiction because I love to learn new things about the world that we live in, and I just want to soak up in all of this new knowledge that is out there, and so that's why I have 10 non-fiction books to share with you today. I love talking about books to and with other people, so I really hope that you enjoy this video. So I'm just gonna jump right into my pile of books here, with the first book being Outbreaks and Epidemics, Battling Infection from Measles to Coronavirus. This is a book written by Mira Senthillingham. And this is a small, cute little book that I really enjoyed. On the back side here it says, "This is a compelling and disquieting journey through the history of science of epidemics. For centuries we have waged war against infection that, left untreated, would have the power to wipe out communities or even entire populations. Yet for all our advanced scientific knowledge, only one human disease, smallpox, has ever been eradicated globally." The reason why I loved this book is because I have never read a book before on epidemics and pandemics, and being as the time is what it is, this is super relevant. And I found it so exciting, so I loved reading and learning about the history of epidemics throughout human history, and sort of the science behind it, what happened, when did it happen, and sort of how did we get where we are today. And I just really love that the author of this book really has boiled everything down to this tiny little book that I think most people can read and enjoy without it being like super difficult and boring. If you are into molecular biology, if you're into disease medicine, or just, you know, want to learn more about epidemics, outbreaks, battling infections and measles and coronavirus, I would highly recommend this book to you. So yeah, I think I gave this book 4 stars. I quite enjoyed it and I found it really interesting, and maybe you will too. Speaking of interesting books, this is A Short History of Drunkenness: How, Why, Where and When Humankind Has Got Merry from the Stone Age to the Present, a book by Mark Forsyth. This was such an interesting and funny book. I loved it. You know, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a history of, you know, drunk people. So on the back of the book it says, "Almost every culture on earth has drink, and where there's drink, there's drunkenness. But in every age and in every place, drunkenness is a little bit different. It can be religious, it can be sexual, it can be the duty of kings or the relief of peasants. It can be an offering to the ancestors or a way of making the end of a day's work. It can send you to sleep or send you into battle. Marvel at how Greeks got giddy and Romans got wrecked, and find out how bars in the Wild West were never quite like in the movies." Super short summary of this book. It was super entertaining, really funny, and I just love the way that it was written. I think I read this book in a couple of days because I liked it so much. And you know, it's sort of a history book without being like boring history. So if you're into that kind of stuff, alcohol and history, I guess, read this book. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I also read Richard Dawkins' The Greatest Show on Earth: The Evidence for Evolution, which is this book. I will have to say, I think the timing of me reading this book was not, you know, the best. I read it originally thinking that it would be a great addition to the books that I read in school, because I had a subject on evolution recently at my university, being I'm a biology student, but reading this book on my spare time, while also spending the majority of my time reading about evolution in school, made evolution a little bit, you know, but in hindsight, this was a really good and interesting book. It's greatly written. I love Richard Dawkins. He is a great author. I've enjoyed many of his books before. I think that this book is a great summary of the most important aspects of evolution, and I love the way that it is built up. I don't think the book is missing anything, and it even has pictures. The back of this book says, "The greatest show on earth is a stunning counter-attack on creationist followers of intelligent design and all those who still question evolution." In this brilliant tour de force, Richard Dawkins pulls together the incontrovertible evidence that underpins it, from living examples of natural selection to clues in the fossil record, from plate tectonics to molecular genetics. Obviously, I believe in evolution. I am a biology student, but I think this book was quite interesting, even though you would believe in evolution. But I think primarily it is written for maybe an audience that is skeptical about evolution. I think you can read this book either way. I gave this book as well a 4-star out of 5, just because sometimes it was a little bit boring, but that might just be because evolution was just up in my... Now, this is book number 4. This is the worst book that I have ever read. This is Robin Sharma's 5 a.m. Club. I have seen it around. I was really curious about it. I really wish that I made a little bit of effort in researching what this book is about and how it was written, because it was just so bad. I hated the way that this book was structured. I just did not enjoy the way that the story was told. My hopes for this book was to sort of get inspiration and motivation and maybe some practical tips on waking up in the morning, and I think that this book tried to do that but failed really bad. It was such a cliche story, just no facts at all, no practical tips. Just, I hated this book. I would strongly recommend to not read it. Now, the backside of this book clearly states that it's supposed to be a life-changing book, and it sort of was, but not in, you know, the good way. Robin Sharma, you did not impress me with this book. I gave this book 1 star because you have to give it, you know, above 0, but if I could give it a 0, I would. Sorry, but my quest for a book about the miracle morning or the enchantments of waking up early did not stop with the 5 a.m. Club. No, it just continued. This is the Miracle Morning, the 6 Habits That Will Transform Your Life Before 8 a.m. by Hal Elrod. Love this book. This was exactly the kind of book that I was wanting to find in the 5 a.m. Club. You're about to discover how to create the most extraordinary life you've ever imagined right now. What if you could miraculously wake up tomorrow and find that any or every area of your life was transformed? What would be different? Would you be happier, healthier, more successful? Would you have more energy, less stress, more money? Which of your problems would be solved? Discover the 6 habits that are transforming the lives of thousands of people around the world, showing them how to wake up each day with more energy, motivation, and focus. So the number 1 reason for me being interested and I've enjoyed this book at all is that it actually gave practical tips on what you should do and why you should do them. Loved it. Only negative thing that I have to say about this book, I didn't quite love the way that the author wrote about the importance of sleep. He sort of underplayed that part, and for me, doesn't really support all of the other evidence I have read about why sleep is so incredibly important for the body. But I'm willing to let that part slide, because in all other aspects, this was a great read. So I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot from the book, and I highly recommend it to you if you want to learn more about waking up early in the morning, why you should do it, how you should do it, because this book gives a lot of great tips on the practical steps of getting there. Big thumbs up for me. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Next book is Nudge. I really enjoyed this book. This book is written by Richard Thaler and Cass R. Sunstein. That's probably not the way you should pronounce it. Nudge is about improving decisions about health, wealth, and happiness. Shortly put, this book was about making choices. Why do we make these choices that we do? Are the sort of the mechanics, I guess, the psychological reasons behind making decisions, and why sometimes we don't make the best decisions about everything from your health to the environment to political stuff and things. Sometimes I found this book a little bit boring because it was a lot of information, and that information was written in a tiny bit of a complex ways. Sometimes that might just be me being, not. It's really a book full of practical real life examples. I gave it a 3 stars, which sounds not that good, but just because it was just sometimes, not often, but sometimes a little bit boring. And so it is what it is. Meditation and Mindfulness. 10 Minutes Can Make All the Difference by Andy Puttikambi. Loved this book. Fantastic read if you want to learn more about meditation, why you should do it and how you should do it. Super, super, super easy to read, very practical, and I love the way that the author is presenting all of these examples and his story, I guess, through this book. And if you didn't know, the author of the book is he started the Headspace app, which is a meditation app. No chanting, no sitting cross-legged, there's no need for a particular belief system, and you don't have to commit to extended periods of time. This is a great book for getting a great introduction to mindfulness and a nice way to elevate your personal health. I would highly recommend it. This is one of the best books that I have read on health the last year. So yeah, gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. The Psychology of Money. Timeless Lessons on Wealth, Greed, and Happiness by Morgan Housel. This is one of the best books I have ever read about money and finance. I have never taken a dive into the psychology behind, finance. I found it really, really interesting, and I loved learning about all of the social mechanics behind the financial choices that we make in our everyday lives. And yeah, it gave me a lot of lessons and perspectives on, how to sort of judge other people and their way of making money decisions. It gave me a greater understanding of money as a psychological concept. Just a short extract from the back here. Doing well with money isn't necessarily about what you know. It's about how you behave, and behavior is hard to teach even to really smart people. Money investing, personal finance, and business decisions is typically taught as a math-based field where data and formulas tell us exactly what to do. But in the real world, people don't make financial decisions on a spreadsheet. They make them at the dinner table. If you're interested in finance, if you're interested in psychology, or you just want to learn something new, again, I would highly recommend this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Loved it. 7.5 Lessons About the Brain by Lisa Feldman Barrett. This is a great and really interesting book about the brain. If you want to learn more about the brain, this is super simplified into sort of 7 lessons about the brain. I'm really into neuro these days, so that's why I wanted to read this book. I found it really interesting. I like that it is a small book, that you don't have to commit to a 500-page long book. I found that the author wrote beautifully on complex and intriguing, yet a little bit daunting subject. And the text in this book is quite big, so it's not a big book. And it's really 7.5 small lessons about the brain. I'm sure you'll learn something new reading about this book. It'll give you a lot of new information to take with you throughout your days in your life. So I gave this book a 4 star out of 5. The last book that I want to talk about is Breath, The New Science of a Lost Art by James Nestor. I have actually not read the entire book yet. I'm currently reading it. I started, I think, yesterday. But so far, this is one of the best books that I've ever read on health. And so on the back here it says, there is nothing more essential to our health and well-being than breathing. Take air in, let it out, repeat 25,000 times a day. Yet as a species, humans have lost the ability to breathe correctly, with grave consequences. In Breath, journalist James Nestor travels the world to discover the hidden science behind ancient breathing practices, discovering that if we make even slight adjustments to the way that we inhale and exhale, we can, and a list of things that you can do, which is improving your health, basically. I love reading this sort of books about health, learning new things about a pretty basic human need like breathing that I've just never thought is a thing, really, because you do it naturally and so easy to forget. It's actually a quite complex and interesting I don't know what the word is. So the book is based on psychology, pulmonology, biochemistry, and human physiology. And I just found it super, super interesting. And it just enlightened the way that I now look at the body and breathing. So this is a book. Yes, this is a book. This is a great book if you are interested in health, you're interested in medicine and meditation even, and is interested in popular science. But yeah, that was all of the books that I had to share with you today. 10 books that I have read recently. I hope that you enjoyed my mini review of these books, and I hope that you maybe found some reading inspiration in this video. If you have a book that you want me or others to read, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!